Today, I want to talk about a film that I just watched yesterday, and it's dark outside, and the lighting's a bit strange. Yes, but I thought I'd give you my opinions on the film because we need more opinions in this world. Yes, so I watched Jojo Rabbit yesterday. I live in Germany, so the German releases are like 5 months behind everyone else. That's very sad, so I've been highly anticipating this film. I'm a big Taika Waititi fan. I feel like the way I say it is wrong. I think it's like Waititi faster. I think I'm just not going to say the surname again so I don't offend anyone or people who know how to pronounce it correctly. I should have Googled it. Yeah, I'm a huge Taika fan. I didn't say the surname. What We Do in the Shadows is one of my top films ever. Hunt for the Wilder People was amazing. He made this short film called Two Cars, One Night, which is the greatest love story of all time, in my opinion. In my humble opinion, who no one cares about. Oh, by the way, no one cares about this opinion. I'm telling you now. The film is based on a book called Caging Skies by Christine Leunen. The way I said that, very German, sorry. Leunen. Yeah, and it's set at the end of World War II, and I think it's set in Vienna, as far as I know. I know it was filmed in the Czech Republic, which is really cool to see. And I lived in Prague for a month for like a film summer school, and so it was so interesting to see the city and how they used it for an actual film that is shown in the cinema. The film is about this young boy, I think he's 10, called Johannes Betzler, and he's a fanatical member of the Hitler Youth. And he has an imaginary friend that speaks to him and helps him out in life, and it takes on the form of Hitler. A strange concept. And this kind of story begins when he realizes that his mother is hiding a young Jewish girl in the walls of their house. So she's basically on the other side, so doesn't follow the kind of beliefs that Johannes was told to obviously follow all his life or recently. Yeah, so basically it's a comedy with a kind of it has a very kind of dramatic and dark side to it. Obviously it's like dark humor, I guess, dark humor, but it has a very moving and dramatic side to it that so I'll tell you, when the film started, you see Jojo go to this camp for the Hitler Youth, where they kind of learn how to become soldiers for Hitler, and just to kind of, it's like where they go to pass their time to learn, and that kind of their minds are filled with all these ideas, and we see it's like the first 20 minutes are kind of very, very comedic and very filled with kind of gags, and it's very funny, but for some reason I felt kind of uncomfortable for the first 20 minutes, and I was thinking about why. I just couldn't, like, I thought that the writing was really funny, but for some reason I just felt kind of uncomfortable inside. Where else? And I thought about it, and I think it's because I had so I've lived in Germany all my life. My father's English, and I was born in England, but I grew up in Germany all my life, and went to school in Austria. So I think it's maybe I felt uncomfortable because kind of all my life we've learned about this horrible dark chapter in German and Austrian history, and then it's like something you never forget, always learn about in every school subject. It's a huge topic, as it should be. And I feel like Germans have this kind of, like, you grow up having this kind of guilt that you're like, oh my god, this was the country I live in, I know made these horrible things happen, so you feel kind of guilty. And I guess it's such a dark time, like a dark chapter in history, that you kind of think, take it seriously, don't it's like, remember, don't forget, take it seriously. It was horrific. And you kind of, as a German person, I always felt like you felt kind of the extreme guilt of it, and obviously because you knew that the guy from down the baker's son might have been, his great-grandfather was a Nazi, and you hear stories like that and you think, shit, it's scary. But I guess it's true. I remember before 2000, I think it was the World Cup in 2006, people were like waving the German flag, and everyone was thinking, are we allowed to? I mean, it's the German flag. So I guess what I want to say is that I think I kind of went in with that feeling, thinking, I don't think it's, how can we actually laugh about this? But then I thought about it more, and I really think we should. Because people have been making fun of fascists and Hitler for years. Like, even Charlie Chaplin made films making fun of him and just mocking him. And they have for like, since it happened. So it's also a way of coping with it. And yeah, we should definitely be able to laugh to laugh and make fun of the, like, ridiculousness of it all, but not lose not lose the kind of serious undertone, which I thought that film did very well. I think I just like reacted really, I was like overly sensitive to it, which is stupid. And I don't know, I didn't realize I even had these feelings in me. Anyway, but then as the film progressed, I started to love it more and more, because it got more and more serious, and you got to know kind of Elsa's life, and they didn't shy away from showing the horror of that time and the situation everyone was in, but they kind of had it like that. It was like a fine line between comedy and not being kind of offensive or wow, I'm thinking a lot in this video. It was like a fine line between it was just like tastefully done. And also because you have this turn, and you see Jojo coming to the realization that everything he thought he knew, he was wrong, and how naive he had been. And I think that's because we get to follow Jojo's journey. It's an obvious like serious take on the situation, and we're realizing that it's not actually moving on. I thought the humor, it was so funny. Just his, like, Taika's typical kind of dry, really absurd jokes, and also really subtle as well. Like, it was so funny, and the way they kind of made fun of Heil Hitler was hilarious. Just how they like greeted every single person in the room, and you just see everyone just doing it. Or I love the Jojo's best friend Yorkie, which Yorkie is not a very Austrian German name, but I don't know, maybe it is, maybe I don't know. He was so funny and so sweet. And then at one point he says, it's not a good time to be a Nazi right now. And it was just everything was just, I thought it was so well written and funny, and so clever as well, and all these subtle jokes. Like, for example, when they say, we're making the clones. It's just, I don't know. I thought it was very cool, very smart. On the more like filmmaker-y side, I thought the cinematography was so beautiful, especially in the scene where kind of it's like the war's actually hitting home and where Jojo lives, and there's the Americans are coming and the Russians are coming and there's fights everywhere and fights. That sounds a bit childish. No, there's disaster strikes, and yeah, I thought it was just the way you kind of, there was a close up of Jojo's face from like the bottom, and it just kind of followed his gaze, and you could see all the like shrapnel falling through the sky, and it was so well done, and it was so emotional. Oh my god, it was just horrific, but also like he managed to make such a horrific scene kind of funny again by having, for example, his kind of the like leader of the Nazi youth, played by Sam Rockwell, kind of turn up, and he had this kind of side storyline where he was very camp and had this kind of almost a relationship with his colleague, but it wasn't very obvious, but there was like a tension between them. And at one point he like bedazzles his Nazi clothes and has like a pink cape and like all these frills, and it's just the like just these like jokes in between the horrible, all the just the jokes in between these horrible scenes. Kind of, yeah, it was that fine line again that I'm trying to talk about. I also loved the setting. This towns looked beautiful and very colourful, and the houses, and it just looked, and the clothing, especially Jojo's mother, was beautiful. Speaking of Jojo's mother, I thought the accents were very funny. I know it must be really hard to play an accent for I don't know how many months, but it was just a bit, I just found it a bit funny. Obviously I could never do them, so well done, but it was like sometimes you had like a UK, New Zealand accent coming through, and then the American, and then Scarlett Johansson sounded Italian and French, and I don't know, I just found it even funnier. I don't know why, but it was so good. Oh my god, and the Gestapo scene was terrifying, but also very funny. Yes, I think, yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think the most beautiful thing for me was the friendship between Jojo and Elsa. And they had like a dance at the end, which was, oh my god, I was slightly crying. Slightly. I don't know why I said that. I was crying. Yeah, and I think it kind of teaches you that you should still talk about stuff, like topics such as these, even though you think they've been done before or we've talked about it enough. Like, how many World War II films can there be? But I feel like he had such a fresh approach. It was so different to other films about that time, and it was just so funny and well written. And I think he did it really well. He did it tastefully. He managed to be smart about it and funny, and it taught me a lot again, me realizing that as a German maybe I should be able to make fun of Hitler more. not be so like terrified and guilt ridden. Obviously this is just my opinion. Did you watch the film? Did you like the film? Please tell me your opinions. If you have any film recommendations, hit me up. Yes, thank you so much for watching and watching till the end. I'm very impressed. I don't know what I said. I forgot everything. I think I just blacked out. Have a nice day, evening, morning, mid-afternoon, midnight, 3 a.m. time. Why are you awake? Go to bed. Yes. Goodbye. Ooh, that was from the film.